Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Big News Wednesday here on The Damage Report. I'm John Aderola. We got some stuff to talk about. We have some truly fascinating video to break down on the show today when Jared Jackson is going to join me. Elon Musk did what was, I assume, supposed to be a really friendly business interview. And it was a mostly friendly interview, but he is so awkward. He is so broken that he took softball questions and turned them into things that could become significant financial liabilities for him. But anyway, that's in the full show, so get ready for that. That's going to be coming. We got a lot to talk about here just on the pre-show before all of that, including, I want to talk about Donald Trump, who is going wild on True Social right now. But I want to talk about why he's doing it, what it reveals that he is most worried about, not for the primary, but for the general election, and what a significant liability it's going to be for him. So we're going to be talking about that, assuming that we get 1,000 likes. I will need 1,000 likes out of you, everyone. It looks like about 350 of you haven't yet pressed the button. Maybe you're like half watching, half playing Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know, but there's no excuse. You hit that like button. And thank you, KMC. This is JR's shirt. It's available at Shop TYT. JR is, of course, going to be joining me on the show. Anyway, with that said, hit the like button. We're going to talk through some other stories before we even get to that. Let's see. I believe we have our updated COVID information. Oh, this is very exciting, everyone. I've been waiting to talk about this. So, here is your weekly updated roundup from the CDC of COVID information. And does anyone see the really significant thing here? Anyone? You see what's new? I mean, there's plenty of good news. The weekly cases dropped down by about a seventh. You have a pretty low consistent test positivity rate, slightly higher than it was, but still very low compared to earlier. But right here, everyone, we have dropped weekly deaths from over 1,100 the previous week to 840, which represents the first time that I can remember in literally years where less than 1,000 people are reported, at least, to have died from COVID in the United States for years. Now, don't know for sure. May Money, you sent in a gift? No, I'm gonna be on the lookout for that. Thank you. No, I haven't seen it yet. Was Trump right? Was Trump right about what? So look, it's still 840. That means more than 100 people on average still dying, but it is a significant drop from, well, for instance, 5 months ago, it was nearly 3,000. So it has dropped to a third of what it was at that point. So that's very exciting. Chips, you sent in a gift too? Yeah, hopefully they can figure that out. But anyway, glad to see everyone was excited that Emma was here. I was very excited. Everybody knows how much fun I used to have doing the show with Emma back in 2018, 2019, 2020. And then, you know, obviously the pandemic happened and all that. And now we're on shows that happen at the same time. But very excited anyway. It was great to have her here. Okay, that said, we have... You can't see the tripod that this is on, but it's flexible and small. And I just Dragon Ball Z punched it off of the stand it was on. But anyway, here's what I was picking this up to show you. The gas prices are incredibly consistent from last week. There hasn't really been any activity on that. So if you're looking for good news when it comes to that, yeah, I don't have it for you. So normally the gas prices have been standing in for good news in place of COVID news, which wasn't all that good. But now the COVID news is down. The gas prices, not so amazing. That said, okay, let's, we have a mix of fun stories, serious stories, light stories, pop culture stories. We're going to try to get to all of them. MZ Bark Eater, welcome. Glad to have you here. Okay, so we're going to give more information later on this week about Texas. So we had talked previously about their attempt to really crack down on the ability of cities, counties, that sort of thing, to regulate a lot of different topics when it comes to energy, when it comes to the environment, when it comes to labor. They are taking that away. Why? Well, they say it's because there's this like patchwork of different regulations and, you know, it's better to have one standard which is obviously the exact opposite thing that they usually say about the states versus the federal government. Also, by the way, when they have sheriffs who say they're not going to actually like put into effect like gun control laws, they're fine with that. But anyway, it's not about that. It's not about a patchwork. It's not about making the red cities consistent. It's about the fact that there are areas in Texas that are not Republican. They're not conservative at all. I've lived in them. And they don't want those. So the era of the war on democracy we're in is the expansion of Republican influence via their hunger for more power from the areas where they actually have control, because there are tons of conservatives there. And we can take issue with why exactly the conservatives in that area give power to the Republicans or whatever, but they have the voters to, you know what, no, that's not good enough. We would very much like to be in charge of the areas where nobody gives a shit what we think. And so that's what we're seeing. This is a great example of it through the entirety of Texas. It doesn't fucking matter if Texas is actually almost a 50-50 state. They control enough of the levers of power that they will negate the 49% that don't support them. And so that's what we're seeing. We're gonna give you more information on that throughout the week, but you should know that that's happening. It's similar to the attempt by right-wingers to control abortion laws in states that they don't control. Trying to sort of have the law travel to other states that they are not popular in. Marie, regardless of the pronunciation, thank you for being here for 28 months. As to everyone watching from Norway or with Norwegian ancestry, happy Constitution Day. That's awesome. It's good to have a constitution. We sort of do here, kind of, in some ways. Bob, been here for 7 months, says, hey, John, good morning. How's the weather in LA? The weather in LA today is perfectly fine. It's a little bit gloomy. It's a little bit cold. But I also read that with El Nino beginning, it's going to get super hot. So maybe we should enjoy that while we can, because it seems like things are going to get kind of rough. Anyway, okay, we're going to jump to how much can we fit? By the way, I don't know if you saw, but the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were apparently tailed by like 6 different blacked out paparazzi cars and vans. And they spent 2 hours getting away from them and almost crashed multiple times, meaning that we came close to a repeat of what happened in the 90s, which is horrifying. And look, everybody needs to make a living. And in particular, I love photographers. Let me be clear about that, because Edwin's in the room and he's a great photographer. If they were to just entirely ban paparazzi, I think I'd be like, fine.
I agree.
Like, of all of the things that we need pictures of, is there anything we need less pictures of than the most famous people in the world? We fucking know what they look like. I don't care about their outfit today, and I have an imagination. If you were to just tell me that Meghan was wearing a yellow pantsuit, I'll put it together, you know? And when they'll go to the Met Gala, then you take their picture. But I don't need a daily picture of every interaction they have with their kid or whatever. It's just, I know that's freedom of stalking or whatever freedom it is. I don't know. I don't like it. It's not great. So much of it is wasted time. I know, I'm sure there's aspects of it that I'm not understanding, but you know what? I like the aspects I do. Anyway, with that said, Mama Bear Dragon, been here for 29 months, says, for the love of God and all that is holy, stop talking about Zelda. I mentioned it like in one sentence. I wasn't like, first of all, I don't even have it. I'm not playing it. I just mentioned it. Anyway, Mama Bear says, it's all P-Bear cares about right now. Sick of it already. Look, I get the appeal. I will say that. I am trying not to buy. Well, there's 2 reasons why I haven't bought it yet. And by the way, I would like you to bear in mind the irony that you asking me to not talk about it is what's going to get me to talk about it more. Also, Fish Dancer, welcome to Tier 2 membership. Enjoy those top 10 lists. There's 2 reasons I haven't bought it yet. One, single-player games like that, where I can play on my own, and it's not limited to the limited amount of time that I can meet up with my friends in other areas online, are massive time sinks, and I am terrified of massive time sinks. The other reason is I can't find my Switch. I don't know where I put it. I think I hid it from myself, actually, for this exact reason. There's like 3 places where I think I would have hidden it, But apparently in this case, I'm cleverer than I am. So I don't know exactly where I put it. If I could find it, I would probably buy it because it looks cool, even though I never beat Breath of the Wild. Anyway, with that said, I will talk no more about it probably. YTP Renewed says, I'd take the Royals' place. I get it, but still, that doesn't mean that the paparazzi's awesome. Millennial Mongoose says, I got a free message. Was up, yo, have you launched a rocket into space in Tears of the Kingdom yet? No, don't bring it up! I'm kidding. I didn't know you could do rockets. That sounds pretty cool. I kind of want to build a rocket. Anyway, because by definition, if you are involved in the building of a rocket, you're a genius. It doesn't matter how fucking stupid you are in other areas of your life, you're a genius. Anyway, I just want to briefly mention this before we move on to our full show, because thank you for getting us 2,000 likes. Hannah Waddington, who you might know from Ted Lasso, also had a small but important and awesome part in Game of Thrones. She ends up basically getting tortured by Cersei. Spoiler alert, the show ended years ago. Which was actually much less devastating than what happened in the books. And I'm glad that they did not do what happened in the books. But anyway, she apparently, like, really got waterboarded for it for, like, 10 hours. And I can't help but think that there were other ways to do that scene that did not involve your actress actually being waterboarded. She just sort of mentioned this, but I feel like that's a bad thing? I don't know. Anyway, we got to 1,000 likes and I don't have much time, so why don't we jump into the main point that I want to make in this pre-port. So, and I would really love it if this Skype call would stop, or why can't, when the Skype notice comes up, why can't you move that? What is up with Skype? It's been around for 55 years, and it hasn't gotten better in any of that time. When your windows are there, for everyone that's on Skype, you can't resize them, you can't reorder them. What are we doing? Doesn't Microsoft own Skype? How is it not better after all this time? After years of the pandemic, it's not better. Anyway, okay, so Donald Trump is on a rage on True Social. I'm not going to read these, but you should just see it. Block text of all caps, attacking the FBI, attacking all of that. And there's a lot of other messages attacking Ron DeSantis. Sorry, Rob DeSantis. He is no, seriously, like, he's still calling him, remember, Rob only won because of me. And he put it in quotation marks, and I will never get over that. Because you can't imply that you suspect his name isn't actually Rob when his name isn't actually Rob and you're the only one calling him Rob. But anyway, the money message that I want to talk about is this. After 50 years of failure with nobody coming even close, I was able to kill Roe v. Wade, much to the shock of everyone. What are you questioning that it was shock? And for the first time, put the pro-life movement in a strong negotiating position over the radicals that are willing to kill babies even into their 9th month and beyond. Without me, there would be no 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 15 weeks, or whatever is finally agreed to. Without me, the pro-life movement would have just kept losing. Thank you, President Trump. That's not weird at all. Okay, so there's the weird, not only talking in the third person, but thanking in the third person. Put that aside. There's the, they want to kill babies in the 9th month and beyond. Fucking insane, psychopathic lying. Put that aside. This message is framed as, look at what I did. Aren't I great? Love me, Republicans. I gave you this thing. But that isn't actually what the message says, is it? Can you see what he's doing in that message? He is presenting this as, I deserve praise. But every bit of the framing of this is, I am terrified of what is going to happen when it comes to this topic. Because what he says here is, I killed Roe v. Wade. Okay, I get the credit. I did that. But then he says, and now they're in a strong negotiating position. They're in a negotiating position. And 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 15 weeks, whatever's finally agreed to. What are you talking about? Whatever is finally agreed to. You big, strong, tough alpha man, why are you talking about all of this as if it has nothing to do with you now? As if you did a thing, but now, that's not you. You're not involved in that. That's the pro-life movement. They're going to negotiate and they'll do whatever they're going to do. I'm not a part of it. 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 15,000, I don't know. I don't have a position. You're supposed to be the big strong guy who tells it like it is, the Straight Talk Express and all that shit. Why are you so hands-off on this topic that you obviously understand is the most important political topic to millions and millions of members of your base, but now all of a sudden you don't want to have anything to do with it? Well, why is that? I think you probably can figure out why that is. Because he is incredibly worried about how this is going to play. Not for quite a while. What he did with Roe v. Wade is going to help him against Rob DeSantis. He knows that. But eventually, once they get past Rob, which he obviously will, and he washes the pudding residue off of him, then he has to go up against probably Biden. And this guy does not want to be weighed down by the ongoing radical pro-life bullshit that we're seeing from Congress, as well as basically every red state legislature. So when the Republicans in the Senate are talking about some sort of like federal 15-week limit, when other states are doing 6 weeks or just outright banning it altogether, that's not him. He's not involved in that. I mean, he gave them the ability to do that. None of it would have happened if not for him. But now it's not him. I don't want to weigh in. I don't care. I don't have an opinion. That is not how Donald Trump talks about a topic that he is confident on. That is how he talks about a topic that he kind of still wants credit for, but he's very worried about stressing too much. We saw this before during the pandemic on the vaccines. He wanted credit because all he wants in his entire life is credit, but he also reads that, oh, this is actually kind of going to hurt me politically, so I'm going to like bring it up, but like I really need to distance myself. And here's the thing. What I wanted to talk about was that he's projecting that he has this feeling, but much more importantly than that, it is an issue. It is that, like, he can say, and he will, when he's going up against Biden, I'm not pushing for 6 weeks. You fucking killed Roe v. Wade, you jackass. Which is great. You get all the credit. Thanks, President Trump. But you fucking did that, and now there is no way that you could run from that. You've tweeted about it too much. You've bleated about it too much. You've talked about it in interviews, and they are going to run that shit on repeat. And we already know how much damage the pro-life bullshit did to the Republicans during the midterm elections. That is going to be like the biggest thing that the Democrats are going to be running on in 2024. We can debate what the ranking actually should be, but they are going to be hammering that thing. No, Spectrophonic, his base isn't going to care. His base doesn't care about anything. But his base can't get him elected. You remember how 2020 went, right? He needs to work outside of that, and this is going to be a massive weight around his neck. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for getting us way past 1,000 likes. We got J.R. Jackson coming up. We got Big News Wednesday coming up. We've got one of the most amazing clips I've ever seen from an interview on, I believe, CNBC. Elon Musk in real time, desperately trying to come up with something clever to say, and utterly failing, and then going with something that could hurt him significantly when it comes to his core business. I'll see you in a few.